Hi, I'm Taryn Lupo from tarynlupo.com. And after the success of my last documentary about quitting your job and becoming a farmer, I had a lot of people ask me to do a documentary about beekeeping. So stay tuned. So I really didn't have a clue where to start. And I got pretty fortunate because I found a couple, Robert and Gloria, who were actually teaching a class at the 2015 Porcupine Freedom Festival, or PorcFest. The class was really jam-packed with just about everything you ever wanted to know about beekeeping. Here, take a little listen to this sample.
So this is a picture of the mating flight. The drone has caught a queen from behind, he does his thing, and then he dies. The worker is always a female. The worker can lay eggs in absence of a queen, but they're all unfertile and will only become lazy drones. A worker lives about 6 weeks during the summer and 4 to 9 months in the winter. The worker bee has many roles in her lifetime. She starts out as a house bee, then a nurse bee. Next there are builders, storage bees, and guard bees, and finally she's out to fly around and forage.
Robert and Gloria Lustig live on a small farm in Winchester, New Hampshire. That's a little south of Keene, New Hampshire. On their farm, they try to grow most of their own food, including chickens. And to guard their chickens, they got a baby goose named Lexi, who makes several cameos throughout our film.
Flap your wings. So my name is Robert, and I keep bees, and the reason I got into beekeeping is because I also make mead, and honey is quite an expensive ingredient, so I thought that bees could make honey for me.
Hi, I'm Gloria, and his other half, better half. And well, we got into beekeeping one day. I was at work, and he called me up and said, honey, find a place that has beekeeping supplies. And I did, and I called, and because he caught a swarm. And next thing, that was it. We pretty much got into beekeeping at that point. Well, he's primarily the beekeeper, but I've been, helping along the way with getting supplies and stuff like that. It's been fun. I love watching the bees and helping him, going into the hive and inspecting and checking them out, and it's a lot of fun. The first year we didn't have honey, but after that we've been having honey, and extracting is a fun thing. It's messy, but when we reap the harvest of the hive and all the benefits of it, it's a great thing.
European honeybees are actually very calm, and we as beekeepers, when we have an aggressive hive, we'll requeen and put in a calm queen. Many people say they're afraid of bees or allergic to bees, when in actuality the majority of the bee stings that happen in this country are because of yellow jackets. Since these bees are vegetarian, they only bring in pollen and nectar. They're not the ones at your picnic, but at picnics you find yellow jackets because they are meat eaters and they're extremely aggressive. A bee colony is primarily one queen, a whole bunch of workers, and drones. The queen is a female, obviously. The workers are also females. The drones are the only males in the hive, and their only purpose is to mate with a queen. They sit around the hive, they eat, but they do no work. So the bee colony starts in January. By February they are laying brood and eggs for the progressive coming up honey flow, nectar flow. The queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day, and the workers go out and collect the resources necessary to keep the hive going and multiplying. The nectar flow here in New Hampshire lasts from tax day, the 15th of April, until right about now, beginning of July, is when we're going into the dearth. The dearth is the time of year during the summer between nectar flows. There's a spring nectar flow and there's a fall nectar flow, but due to the dry conditions during the middle of the summer, there's not a lot of flowers blooming, and so the bees have less resources to sustain the hive. The queen cuts back on the amount of eggs she lays every day, and the hive shrinks for a short period during the summer, and then regains its strength going into the fall for the fall nectar flow. The bees bring in nectar during the two nectar flows, the spring flow and the fall flow, when things are blooming. The bees bring in the nectar from the flowers, they store it in cells in the hive, they fan it to dehydrate it, they transfer it around to dehydrate it further until it reaches its final location in the hive where it has, I believe, 15% water or less. Now it's honey. They cap it over and they store it for use later on in the winter. Beehive has many products, honey being the most obvious, but other things that come from a hive would be beeswax for making candles, for making soap, propolis, which is bee glue. They collect sap from trees and they use it for caulking the interior of the hive. Propolis, besides being used for cold sores, that sort of thing, propolis is used for the varnish for Stradivarius violins. You mix propolis and wax with alcohol, high-grade alcohol, and it produces a varnish that's used on violins. There's also a royal jelly, which you can buy in health food stores, super high nutrients. Pollen is brought in to feed the babies, but pollen can be harvested at the front of the hive, and you can buy it in health food stores. It's very high in vitamins and nutrients. So the solar wax melter is used primarily to melt wax that comes from the hive when the bees make comb in a bad location, and I'm cleaning around the hive as I'm inspecting. I'll pull that out, throw it into the wax melter. Old frames that are there for too many years, we throw those into the melter, melt down the wax. The resulting comb that's got not much wax left in it is called slum gum, and it's exceptionally good as a fire starter for campfires. During the winter, bees will form what's known as a cluster. What this is the worker bees. Let me start this by saying that the drones, who are useless in the hive except for mating with a queen, are all dragged out by their feet and thrown off the front doorstep at the beginning of the winter because they don't provide anything for the hive. So then the colony is left with workers and a queen, and the idea is they have to keep the queen alive even during the coldest nights. So they form a cluster, which is a ball of bees with the queen at the center, and they will keep the queen at about 98 degrees through the entire winter, day and night. They slowly work their way up through the hive towards the top, eating food stores, honey, as they go along, very, very slowly during the winter. The workers, who have an average lifespan of 5 weeks, during the winter, a worker can live for 5 months.
Robert and Gloria make it sound easy to raise bees, but it's not that simple, or everybody would be doing it. There's a lot of pitfalls. I want to take you over to my friends over at Foggy Hill Farm to share their experiences of their wins and some of the hardships they had raising bees.
Hi, I'm Andy Pressman of Foggy Hill Farm in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, and welcome to our bee yard. We currently have 3 hives after a terrible loss 2 winters ago. We lost all of our hives in about -17-degree weather for about a week and are slowly rebuilding. But we've been keeping bees for about 15 years, and it's been an amazing experience. And we started really for pollination, as we have a small market farm, but also value the honey and other products that come from the hive. And I started with an herbalist in Southeast Ohio who actually stung people on a monthly basis as a healing process. And the results I saw after some folks had several surgeries, but the what the bees provided was the most amazing healing process for them, and so that really got me thinking about the importance of bees, and I slowly started learning more about their community and organization and what they have to offer for community building, and just am fascinated by the whole process and the different types of hives. And it's been a really great hobby turning into commercial business, but has taken a long time and has also been an expensive hobby up until we really started selling honey and doing well with it. And I would say for beginning beekeepers, some of the things I really learned is one is to really start small. Really learn what you're doing. Don't invest in tons of equipment at first, but really get your skills down before you start scaling up. And also make sure you have a good mentor that's local. Like I said, I started beekeeping in Ohio and then down to Virginia. And as we slowly kept moving north, we realized how regional specific bees are, specifically the queen. So we've been part of a queen rearing program to localize the queens in hives more as we move more north. So here we are in New Hampshire, and it's definitely a much different climate than Virginia. So having someone local who knows beekeeping is great to keep on your speed dial on your cell phone, and also just ask a lot of questions and support your local beekeeping organization. There's several throughout every state. Many counties have them, and they're just a great resource and great connection. And I urge you all to promote them and support them and be a part of the pollination effects and great honey that come from a hive. We have a Facebook page, so you can look up Foggy Hill Farm, New Hampshire. I believe there's another Foggy Hill Farm out there somewhere. And we'll soon have a website, but yeah, we're right here in Jaffrey, New Hampshire.
Robert and Gloria want to share some of their mistakes as beekeepers so you guys won't repeat them when you start out.
Our first year in beekeeping was catching a swarm, and the first place we got information was Beekeeping for Dummies. And while it's a good resource, it wasn't enough for us to learn what was necessary to be a beekeeper. And it was finally when we joined a bee club, and we had the fortunate opportunity to speak to people who had been keeping bees for 10, 20, 30, 40, 60 years, that we could ask them questions and they could help us out with any issues that came along. Once we had that resource of other people to speak to, that's when we started actually producing honey and having hives that could survive the winter. Our first year when we caught a swarm, our primary mistake was we didn't requeen. Why this is important is simply because beehives multiply through swarming. And swarming is not the thing you read in the media of bees attacking people. The hive, when it decides it's time to split, the old queen will signal the workers to create new queens. These are called supersedure cells. They'll create new queens. When those queens are ready to be born, the old queen will take half the workers and half of all the food and the pollen, and she'll leave with them to find a new home and create a new colony. The key word here is it was the old queen that left with all these things. So when you catch a swarm, you don't know how old that queen is, and I believe that in our first year of beekeeping, the old queen died after we put them into the new hive. We should have requeened, we should have bought a new queen and installed her and gotten rid of the old one. We would have had much more success. Our main objective with our bees is producing honey, which we use to make mead. But aside from saving the cost of the ingredients, you can sell natural honey for $14 a pound in this area. You can sell the pollen, you can sell the wax, you can sell numerous products from the hive to make money. And really, when you get into a money-making venture, the real key is queen breeding. If you create new queens, you can sell them to other beekeepers in your area and elsewhere, and they go for $28, $35 per queen. Another product from a beehive that you can make money with is nukes, N-U-C-S, otherwise short for nucleus colony. This is 5 to 6 frames from a hive with workers, with honey, with pollen, with a queen, and these go for $150 roughly to people who want to start their own beekeeping adventure. The key thing to remember as a new beekeeper, the first year you will not get any honey. Your objective during the first season is to help the bees build up strength and enough infrastructure in the hive so that they can survive the first winter. If you successfully overwinter a hive, the following spring you will get honey.
So there's different kinds of honeys that you can get. Basically, it depends on where your flower sources are from. Most honey that the backyard beekeeper will produce is called a wildflower honey, because you don't really know what source your flowers, your bees are getting their nectar and their honey from. You can get specialized honeys like clover honey, orange blossom honey, and buckwheat honey, because the beekeepers will put their hives directly in the middle of an orchard or a field with clover and stuff like that. But you can get all kinds of different specialized honeys depending upon where the flower sources are from. So honey never goes bad. I mean, they found honey in the tombs of Tutankhamun that was thousands of years old, and it's fine. Honey naturally crystallizes, and as a result, what you can do is you can seed your honey with crystallized honey and make what is called a creamed honey. And it's great, and you can spread it on bread and muffins and stuff like that. It's an awesome thing. You can also, honeycomb is another thing that people do. You can sell from your wares, people that will cut actual honeycomb and sell it with the honey in the wax, and that goes for a premium.
I hope with this information, it took some of the fear out of starting your own beekeeping business. So give it a try. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, a like, and a share. Also, you can find my unlisted and private videos over at terranlupo.com. So go check those out. You won't see those anywhere else. My unlisted videos include topics on how to raise and sell carnivorous plants and how to make your own mead. Go check them out.